Good morning, everyone. As the Employment Relations Specialist at the University of Melbourne Student Union, UMSU, my role is to support both our staff and leadership in navigating Australia's workplace relations system. As we are now approaching a critical new round of bargaining, my purpose today is to provide a clear roadmap of how we can safely and successfully engage in this process. We will begin with the overall context, then examine our current situation at UMSU, and finally consider the strategic recommendations that should guide us in the next round. About UMSU, to begin with, UMSU is the peak representative body for students at the University of Melbourne. We are an independent non-profit organization funded mainly through student fees and commercial activities. In 2024, our workforce of 294 employees, including ongoing, fixed-term, and casual staff, whose employment conditions are governed by UMSU's own enterprise agreement and are represented primarily by the National Tertiary Education Union, or NTEU. Our mission is to connect with every student, amplify their voice, and ensure an inclusive and accessible university experience. So how does bargaining fit in? An enterprise agreement is a legal binding document that sets the conditions of employment such as pay and working hours. Under the Fair Work Act 2009, all agreements must meet strict tests. They cannot undercut the national employment standards, pass the Better Off overall test, be endorsed by the majority of staff, and include dispute resolution procedures. UMSU currently operates under the 2023-2025 Enterprise Agreement, approved by the Fair Work Commission in December 2024. This EA covers all staff and remains in operation until replaced or terminated. With the nominal expiry approaching in 2025, preparations for renegotiation must now commence. In Australia, the process of making an enterprise agreement follows a 5-step structure sequence. It begins with the Notice of Employer Representation Rights, which informs staff of their options to be represented. Bargaining then takes place between employer and employee representatives to develop a draft agreement. Once a draft is prepared, it must be clearly explained to the employees, who then vote on whether to approve it. If the majority are in favor, the agreement is lodged with the Fair Work Commission for a final assessment to ensure all legislative requirements are satisfied. Finally, our primary stakeholder is the NTEU, the main union across the higher education sector, and a former signatory to UMSU's current EA. In bargaining, they prioritize secure employment, transparent pay, and sustainable workloads, with a strong emphasis on supporting vulnerable casual and fixed-term employees. Beyond bargaining, they also play a strong enforcement role, making them a central partner in both negotiation and compliance.
Before we look ahead, we need to understand the past that shaped today's talks. At the University of Melbourne, bargaining has been unstable. In 2023, the Fair Work Ombudsman uncovered decade-long underpayment. Over 25,000 staff are fired and 72 million repaid. These were not just mistakes, but signs of insecure jobs and poor check. At the same time, the National Tertiary Education Union led major strike, and in 2025 they won a case that forcing the university prioritize internal hire. The lesson is clear that when consultation fail, dispute escalate to the regulator, to count, and the public eyes that leaving deep distrust. Enterprise agreements show they have listened and learned by including the key change to prevent dispute and rebuilding trust. First is create a formal consultative committee under Clause 8 to keep dialogue open. Second is introduce Clause 10, a step-by-step dispute resolution process to solve issues early. Third is recognize the union role in Clause 54, giving the representative formal rights of access and communication. Finally, is embed commitment on casual pay, closing the gap that had caused underpayment. This agreement goes beyond compliance. It makes a shift from reactive firefighting to proactive cooperation. One of the strongest elements is codified pay structure. Every casual role has a published hour rate, including weekend and public holiday. But history warned that transparency on paper isn't enough. At University of Melbourne, pirate exists, yet underpayment continued for 10 years. Why? Because there were not proper audits or compliance checks. That failure cost $72 million and serious reputational damage. If we want real transparency, we need more than the numbers. We need systems that check, verify, and follow through. In next round, stronger compliance measure must a top priority. The second priority is workload and consultation. Right now, the consultative committee exists but only in an advisory role. And as research shows, committees without power are often ignored. That's exactly what happened at University of Melbourne. Staff skip weak internal process and escalate dispute externally. For UMSU, if Class 8 remain advisory, we risk repeating the same cycle. Giving it real power, clear deadline, and follow-up will resolve dispute internally before they blow up into a public problem. Better consultation isn't about management, it is about creating trust, reducing risk, and making deals last.
To prepare effectively for the next bargaining round, UMSU must learn from the sector's mistakes at the University of Melbourne 2023. Strict saw how insecure work and poor consultation can prolong disputes. The first focus area is evidence-based claim modeling. Independence of pay and contracts, combined with good compliance checks, demonstrates good faith and reduce legal risks. The second focus area is proactive stakeholder engagement. By strengthening Clause 8 and inviting unions into agenda setting, the consultative committee becomes a forum for collaboration, not just complaint. This just builds trust and prevents disputes from escalating. The third focus area is strategic capability building. Increasing industrial relations complexity requires UMSU's leaders to build advanced dispute resolution and compliance capability. Without training in industrial relations and dispute resolution, leaders remain dependent on external regulators. Investing in internal capability ensures UMSU can manage disputes in-house and implement safeguards effectively. When considering bargaining strategies, UMSU faces two choices. First, distributive bargaining is a win-lose model. It may cut costs in the short term, but it fosters long-term conflict and untrustworthy commission scrutiny. For UMSU, this path risks reputational damage and even bad faith claims. Second, interest-based bargaining is a win-win model. It focuses on underlying interest rather than fixed positions. IBB fosters collaboration, transparency, and joint problem-solving while aligning with UMSU obligations under the Federal Act. When we compare both approaches, distributive bargaining delivers only temporary gain but risks and litigation. From the pluralist perspective, this because it simply inflames conflict, making IBP the only approach that can manage differences constructively. Therefore, our strategic recommendations is a clear adopt interest-based bargaining with a competent first foundation. This is the only pathway that balances legal requirements, trust building, and long-term sustainability. Here is why this is the optimal strategy for UMSU. First, context distributive bargaining in the sector has cost measures and underpayment schedule. IBP addresses this by fostering cooperation and joint solution. Second, complement and credibility. Audits and input modeling are non-negotiable. They build trust with staff and union while reducing regulatory risks. Third, best practice and sustainability. IBP generates better solutions, improves acceptance of change, and enhances workplace problem-solving. Over time, this strengthens organizational culture and credibility. In summary, IPP with compliance first is not just collaborative, it's legal, robust, and future-proof, making it the most effective and sustainable strategy for UMSU.
To move from the principle to practice, the first part of our three-pillar strategy focuses on compliance and consultation. Pillar 1 is compliance and evidence-based modeling. Weak payroll oversight has undermined the trust and enterprise agreement approvals. Independent audits and boost simulations make sure the agreements pass the first time, reducing the costly delay and strengthening the union confidence. Pillar 2 focuses on proactive consultation. In the past, committees were often symbolic, pushing staff to bypass the UMSU and escalate to regulator. Our solution is to empower your union consultative committee to set the agendas, enforce timelines, and require transparent sharing of compliant data. Involving union early creates a genuine two-way dialogue, lowering the risk of strict and external dispute. The final pillar completes this strategy by building internal capacity. Many managers lack the dispute resolution skills, forcing reliance on external layers and the Fair Work Commission. Evidence shows that trained leaders resolve the issues faster and prevent escalation. That is why we recommend the target industrial relation training, conflict resolution skills, and an internal meditation-ready panel. The real impact comes when the three pillars reinforce each other. Compliance builds transparency, consultation works best with skilled leaders, and internal capacity makes the compliance a strategic tool. Together, they move the UMSU toward a more sustainable bargaining system. On this line, we see how enterprise-based bargaining outlined across 5 areas. For weeks, redesigning a transparent salary scale is safeguarded by boost simulations and independent audits. For job security, a roadmap ensures the fixed-term roles can convert to ongoing contracts after a set period. For workload, a standing committee allocates tasks encoded in the enterprise agreement. For consultation, the Union Consultative Committee is strengthened with mandatory provisions, ensuring meaningful participation. And for well-being, flexible work and extra leave are backed by national employment standards and the Fair Work Commission guidelines. Together, these measures improve staff outcomes while keeping UMSU fully compliant. Even with the measure, disagreement may still arise. That is why we propose a clear three-step escalation pathway. First, meditation and conciliation through the Fair Work Commission or an accredited meditator. Meeting good faith beginning obligation while diffusing conflict. Second, if mediation fails, protected industrial action may be used as leverage. Strict passed by secret ballot create urgency, but they are high risk and should be avoided where possible. Finally, the enterprise agreement's formal dispute resolution clause allows referral to the Fair Work Commission for a binding decision, while a last resort, it ensures compliance and shields UMSU from a regulatory branch. In conclusion, three reinforced pillars, compliance, consultation, and internal capacity with a clear dispute resolution pathway, give the UMSU a stronger, resilient approach. This is how we move beyond adversarial disputes and toward a sustainable, credible system trusted by all. That is all our presentation. Thank you for listening.